These are the available classes during the Crystal of Atlan Global launch. If you already have decided on which class to play, here's a little bit more insight on what they do and their mechanic. If you haven't, this is the video for you on which class you should play. In Crystal of Atlan, at the beginning of the game, you can only make up to 5 characters until your adventure rank reaches level 7. You'll be able to unlock more character slot. Another thing is that I don't know if Global will decide to time gate us like they think is some sort of a good idea, but in CN we're not. But it's really crazy because we're not time gated in CN, but during the Global CBT2, they were time gated. Also, characters are locked to their specific look, which can be customized later after clearing Chapter 1. You cannot change your gender, and also the element depending on the character class is fixed. Alright, I assume you already know the combat mechanics of Crystal of Atlan. If you don't, I'm not gonna explain it over here. In a few more days, if you decided to play this game, you're gonna get thrown into it. My job here is to compare the CN tier list, read the description of every class, and give my personal opinion, and at the end of the video, I'm not supposed to decide on which class you should play. You should decide who you want to play based on the role, gameplay style, mechanic, or maybe even tier list. Tier list on CN is inaccurate due to several reasons. Number 1, creators or content creators cannot play every class, and to those who play a certain class longer, they might have more insight to the class compared to you and I. Number 2, adjustment or aka buff and nerf comes from time to time or level expansion, allowing characters to unlock new skills that give them more advantages, like for example the level 70 expansion. All the characters have new skill at level 65 at 70 and making the meta shift a little bit more. Number 3, weapon enhancement at plus 22 and plus 25 gives out different score. Yes, during an event in CN, there is an event where equipment grades ranking are sorted differently, or whatever you want to call it, out of the time attack records, and this time attack is basically a solo run. These are the time based on all the available classes in CN, but if we narrow down to global, these are what we have. Keep in mind, again, this is CN by now. They probably have buff and nerf, and global probably has to go through its own patch. And there's also a lot of different from ranking the classes according to the enhancement of the character equipment, mainly due to the effect known as compounding. To simply put it, burst character can do fast damage early on compared to those who can do consistent damage. But if the consistent damage can maintain their DPS throughout the run, they will eventually outrun the burst character. These are my specific tier lists, but not according to PvP, only PvE, based on what I understand and how all the couple of the CN content creators rank. T0 we have the Scytheguard, basically the only support in the game, Warlock, Elementalist, and at T1 we have Cloudstrider, Gunner, Bounty Hunter, Magiblade, and Berserker, and T2 Blademaiden, Magician, and Starbreaker. With that said, let's get on to each of the specific classes. Let's start off with Bounty Hunter first. Bounty Hunter relies heavily on basic attack. Once all her skills are used up and she's in a cooldown, she has this little skill that makes her movable while rapid shooting. She has the ability to switch to every element for her basic attack, with summer skill consisting each element fire for damage over time, ice for movement slow, lightning for extra damage every time like it has a critical. It works like that for her especially. I'm not sure how the other character works. And darkness for enemy penetration, meaning shooting through the one behind. It's like penetrating. If you shoot someone at the back, it's also gonna get the front. It's hard to explain. She has received multiple buffs, greatly improving her performance. Now she's capable of doing burst and rapid firing, sustainable damage over time in CN. Bounty Hunter is definitely a great play if you love to have mobility while attacking and play as a ranged DPS. Scytheguard. Scytheguard is a class that can both deal damage and provide support, and basically she's the only support in the game. At the beginning of the game, she's mainly low damage, but so she can only like take on the support role if everyone just started out playing. But in the future, I don't think that's going to be the case because we're gonna be ahead, and anyone that start out new has no one to support until they caught up. She has the ability to heal and boosting teammates' damage. Once the character is properly built, switching to the DPS route leads to more explosive damage. Yeah, she has, if you read her skill description, you can switch between support and DPS, depending on what you want, but I'm guessing in the open tournament, a lot of people decide to use her as support, mainly I'll explain later. So again, like I said, Scytheguard is currently the only support team in the game. Every PvE team has her. Scytheguard on the tournament run just shows how important she is. Her level 60 ultimate skill buffs the entire teammate damage by 11%, lasting for 16 seconds. At level 35, she has the ability to do either damage over time or heal the team member. This level 35 skill however can only do 90% area of damage over time and heal her 10% in the PvP. In the future at level 70 she can sit on her moon orb, and this is she can move around it, and anyone in this radius gains a total of 10% damage boost. She also has an entire moveset healing party members, armor breaking, and provides shield to the team member. Totaling with her ultimate, I say she roughly gets about 21% attack boost for the entire team. If you have 7 party members and all of those members get 25% boost, that's basically a multiplayer for everyone. One thing I can't confirm with you, I don't find it anywhere even between content creators, is that whether is it stackable between multiple Scytheguard. If you bring 2 Scytheguard, is everyone gonna get like 40% attack boost or something like that? That is something we don't know. But even if you try to build her support build, she still provides good buff as well as does mid-tier DPS. But so far, after watching some tournament clip, I do notice that all the team only has 1 Scytheguard. Gunner is a class with extremely strong shield breaking capability and exceptional aerial control. Because of her amazing hit rate and somehow floating on the air and defy logic, she can juggle the enemy for quite a long period of time if that's what you enjoy. Keep in mind you're not only facing humanoid enemy but large scale enemy as well, so you cannot like juggle large scale enemy unless there's a bug. If that's the problem, she used area of effect, aka her fire on the field to do damage over time while she herself pumping out some DPS. She has this little hit meter when you have to remain at a certain percentile, and you can calibrate her gain and cooldown rate based on your playstyle in the skill manual. The gunner switches between melee attack, fire blast, thunder shockwave depending on what is the last skill you use. Yeah, she has a thunder element, but in her arsenal most of her attacks are fire, so it's basically better to build her circuit, like her equipment, fire base instead of lightning, because she does have like lightning skill, but not a lot of them are lightning. From the CN side, it was stated that she is also an amazing shield breaker, damage over time and AoE damage. So, oh yeah, she also has this one skill where she's gliding with her gun. Kind of annoying to deal with during PvP because this one knocks you down while she moves away and you have to catch up with her again. But again, if you love AoE damage, if you love juggling enemies around AoE damage, fire, burning, then I think you should go and play Gunner. The Berserker has a trait called the Undead Passive, also known as Guts in some MMORPG, meaning that the ability to stay alive while with 1 HP and fighting for a longer period of time. Berserker, though combat is slow, but has amazing survivability, and the reason why his combat is slow because he has a passive where it states he's using the great sword in exchange for the speed. He puts out a lot more damage. But in terms of like games like this or combat, I think I always prioritize speed. The Berserker is definitely easy for those who start out playing, but as you progress, you might have some problem. Now this is not a PvP talk. I do mention like some characters in PvP, but we're only focusing on PvE because Berserker is still like up there in PvP, alright? And when he enters near death, like 1 HP, he will enter a 10-second invincibility state, and he also gained 10% lifesteal during that time. His damage is basically the more HP he loses, the more damage he puts out. The percentile can be read from the description, but if you're someone who likes big risk, big reward, then I think Berserker is definitely the one to go. He also has the ability to convert some of his HP into armor, allowing him to lose HP to gain armor for defense. Any healing the Berserker receives from, well, basically anyone else, but at this point it's only Scytheguard, unless there is an item from party member that can be used. That HP healing effect will go into his armor instead, allowing him to keep his HP low while retaining his high damage. He also has a skill that when he activates, it will expand all the red barrier percentile as damage output and fix his HP, but that's a level 65 skill, so we're not getting that anytime soon. But the reason why he fall down in the DPS area or solo run is mainly because of how slow he is despite putting out great damage. I'm not sure if building more HP and losing more HP will be able to put out more damage. That's an interesting build to explore, but considering that he's like one of the lowest in CN because of speed, yeah. But I heard he is quite annoying to deal with due to his guts in PvP. Next one we'll be talking about is Elementalist. To those who love casters specialized in dealing damage using fire, ice, lightning, and dark elemental skills, the jack of all trade, master of all, but the only problem he has is mobility. My own personal experience with him is he lacks a lot of launch attack and is also quite slow. in terms of his dash. Instead of dashing like every other character, he just blinks, and his attacks requires charging most of the time. Elementalist deals insane explosive damage with his Fireball, Ice, and double Odava Rasengan. Would I call him a glass cannon? Yeah, I would call him a glass cannon because of his lack of mobility. He could die actually quite easily. Some of his skill has casting time, and by charging up, you'll reduce his cooldown, allowing him to do more DPS more frequent. But if you fail to charge, you're gonna have to sit on that cooldown for quite a long time. Definitely the explosion in the team, if the team managed to stagger or break the enemy shield, I can see that the Elemental's duty is to going all out at that moment. Now, he is also like, I think he's the ranked the lowest during that single solo run, mainly because he can't act independently, but I believe, I can be wrong, but I believe that he could shine in a team play. One of the mechanic of the Elementalist is that he can reduce cooldown with this Thunder Core he has around. You can gain this Thunder Core through some ways or some skills. So the more Thunder Core you have, he kind of like have some sort of mechanic to reduce his cooldown. If you're gonna be a Kirito, a solo player, I don't recommend playing Elementalist, but I do see that he'll be able to shine in a team play. Blademaiden is also one of the low tier ranking, but I actually enjoy playing Blademaiden. But hear me out. Blademaiden has the ability to merge with her puppet compared to her Scytheguard counterpart. She specializes in lightning element in her kit, some of it, which can build up, causes a small AoE zap basically. Like the Scytheguard, you have to play around with her where her progression, just like the Scytheguard, is that building your bond with your puppet, because some of her passive, when you unlock, allows the puppet to function alongside with you. What I'm trying to say is that during the start, the puppet doesn't sync with you until later in the game as you unlock passive. The puppet's gonna mimic the skill that you're casting. Now the beauty of the Blademaiden is that the cooldown of her skills are separated from her transform mode, having more awesome to cast out. I would say that she is a burst DPS, but she has like insane cooldown in order to transform again. She is burst, but she cannot sustain damage. That's the reason why she's so low. Should you play her? I think if you like that you can transform or fuse with your puppet, then you should go ahead and play her until buff or new skills does her justice. Otherwise, you're gonna have a hard time with her. But I'm not discouraging you not to play her. I'm just saying that there is a reason why she's ranked so low. Magiblade is probably one of the hardest class to play out there, and yet has fallen below the tier list, mainly because I think he's difficult to play. Everything about this class screams that he's Virgil's son. While I myself don't do this, you have to use this skill with a bar that allows him to reset his skill over and over again while not facing any cooldown. But if you couldn't time it properly, you'll have to sit on an insane cooldown, and the more combos or the more chain you do with the skill, the faster the bar just goes. Overall, he's still up there on the PvE ladder, but the reason why I can't play him because of multitasking. And if you think about doing that chaining skill I mentioned earlier, you're not gonna be doing that in the PvP because you're fighting against a force that's pushing against you. You'll have to be very good at multitask, and if you miss, you're gonna sit the whole round with the cooldown until the skill is up again. He also have this little point blank warp strike every time you throw a dagger. This was really useful during my PvE session, my PvP session, mainly because I can throw my dagger, come back again, and attack my enemy. So all of this Magiblade skill is that he's basically Virgil, so if you like Virgil, go ahead and play. But I don't think he's one of the top PvE character. I would say he's in the middle, in between there, after the new class releases. Cloudstrider's main feature is having both Tiger and Crane style. The moment you activate it, any skill will consume the little koi fish bar on top of the skill bar up there. Cloudstrider is a squishy class according to the CN creators, but if you befriend a Scytheguard, you might be safe. Her gameplay is definitely fun with the Tiger form doing more damage over time and AoE, and the Crane doing more of a single attack and range type, meaning from far. Her basic attack is also a range type, but you can play this at close as well. But the problem is Cloudstrider is still up there until future classes releases. If you don't have the ability to swap or being flexible, because you have to operate between Tiger and Crane style, and the moment that the koi fish runs out, you'll return to a normal mode, and the normal mode has a different skill set. The Crane style has a different skill set, the Tiger style also has a different skill set. So if you're a very flexible or able to adjust to a situation person, then Cloudstrider might be the class for you to go. Starbreaker has amazing moveset and one of the most fun, especially being able to do a primary Lotus. But sadly from CN common, her DPS is low and her survivability is poor. Though the comment section did disagree as well. It's safe to say that those who actually play the class understand more than the creators. From my personal experience, she moved pretty fast from one opponent to the other, but that is until she has a level 65 or 70 skill, good at gathering and doing AoE damage when in range. She has this Crimson Molten mode, and the timing window is pretty small, but it's not going to be a problem for you. Every time she's in this Crimson mode, she changes her flame from red to Crimson red, and this grants her 6% buff to all her damage. A problem in PvP is that most of her PvE skill allows her to gain armor, but those are totally removed from the PvP. And compared to her Cloudstrider counterpart, Starbreaker is purely melee, meaning you have to get close, unlike Cloudstrider who has a range attack for her basic attack and being able to swap in between. Aside from primary loader, she also has the ability to yeet her enemy. Warlock is about lifestealing big wings like Devil Jin while looking like Wii from Devil May Cry 5. According to Speedrun, he's one of the top DPS from my speculation due to his high lifestealing. He might be able to sustain damage taking while putting out a lot of damage, not moving around or dodge probably. From my play, he deals decent AoE damage with suction effect, meaning he sucks the enemy in. Because he can also do lifesteal, making him able to survive as well while doing quite decent damage. Honestly, I think his damage is like an 8 out of 10 for me. He has a number of range attack, but he's a character you mostly gonna play during mid-range. He does have a passive ability to fly on PvE if you transform to avoid damage while shooting some weird balls. Unlike the Elementalist or Magician, he has amazing ability to juggle the enemy mid-air or doing air combo and do continuous combo. His level 45 skill allows him to transform to Apostle mode, turning the entire screen black and white while with some little red effect for 15 seconds. In this state, his basic attack speed increases, some skill scales, and ability to place curse on enemy. He can place curse on enemy while doing damage over time. So not only that, if you tap again, he will do some sort of skill against the enemy. From the readings of it, yes, he can provide constant damage very fast. Aside from his Apostle form, he can also activate his lifesteal mode for 11 seconds. He gains 7% of the damage as HP. The higher the damage, the more HP he gains. Lifesteal, curse mechanic, transformation, it's kind of hard for me to explain, but with the description I read, it makes sense why he's one of the top. The last character we have is the Magician, also known as the Trickster in PvP. He is more of a PvP character. I have seen some people playing him in PvP with debuff effect, so let's get into what are his kit. The Magician has a deck mechanic and it's RNG. He holds 7 cards at a time and he plays them from left to right. He plays the one that chain first, meaning like a PGR, anyone that can explode more, he will use that first. And there are 3 colors. Blue card increases his damage by 0.4%. You're able to stack up to 40, lasting 60 seconds. Yellow card is consumed for certain skill upon activation, reducing the skill cooldown by 4% times the number of yellow cards drawn again. And the red card increases the skill damage by 3% times the number of red cards are drawn again. You don't have to remember the mechanic. Once if you like to bet your fate on RNG, then I think you can go ahead and play Magician, but I don't think he's practical in PvE because if you want to speed up in cooldown but you don't draw that card, you end up sitting out quite a long time. Magician can also summon clone to help me for a short period of time, as well as putting enemies to sleep in 3 seconds and etc. He can taunt like enemy like the X from Dota 2 for 2 seconds, but instead of attacking him, they'll be attacking the doll. And yeah, some of this debuff is annoying if you want to piss people off in PvP to provoke them. It does work, maybe because I have low EQ, I'm not sure. So that just covers about all the classes. I cannot confidently say that I know all about these classes. Adjustments are made to classes like Berserker or Bounty Hunter to make them stronger to keep up, while with new skills and stuff like that. In the future, Rhapsodia, Empirica, Spectre, and Glacier are the 4 of the strongest DPS out there in terms of PvP and PvE. Just play whatever you find fun. My job, again, once again, I remind you, is to help you narrow down on what is your playstyle, not what you should be meta. If you want meta, then I did mention those as well, so you can go ahead and choose it. But just in case anything else changed, I'm not responsible for that. Overall, I had fun with all of these classes, and I hope this helps you decide on who to play. My name is Zackie, and it's just a gaming channel.